In Angular, when using reactive forms, of course we're going to need to have elements. Elements are really considered objects. What we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you how you could add elements to a reactive form. What you see in the overhead is you see the HTML or the view for the application. Let's kind of go over it line by line. In line 3, we have form group, and it's set equal to form. Now form is going to be a member variable or a property of the controller. In this case, it's going to be the root component. And we have ng-submit equals onSubmit. What happens here is when the user is going to click on the submit button is we're going to fire that onSubmit event on the controller, or in this case the root component. Now I put two different types of text on here, actually one text and one password. If you look on line number 6, we have input type equals text, and we have the form controller name equals full name. This is going to have to be referenced in the root component as well. And if you look on line 10, I have the same, where I have type equals password and form control name equal password. That's going to have to be referenced on the controller as well. And then line 13, I have a button, and when we click on the button, it's going to fire the onSubmit event for the controller. So let me cut away from the HTML, and let's go from the view to the controller itself. Now everything is as advertised insofar as the component decorator. So lines 6, 7, and 8, there's not much going on there. But notice on line 11, I'm declaring a form as part of a form group. And on line 12, I'm assigning full name, it's actually a data member, equal new form control, and you pass in the initial values, and then whatever validators are going to be attached to that specific component. So we go down to line 14, and in the constructor, what I'm doing is I'm declaring a variable called FB. It's of the type form builder, and I pass in this top form and then FB.group. FB.group is pretty important because it's going to have a group of elements or objects that are going to be part of that form. Now here it says that we're going to have two. We have one called full name, and it's equal to this dot full name. Full name is a data member that we're declaring on line number 12. And the second parameter that we're passing in to the form builder group is the password. And in the password, we're setting an initial value of nothing. And then we're saying that the validators are required. So there's going to be some validation added to the password. And if I could take your eye to line number 20, this is the onSubmit method that we declared. Now this matches, and it's bound to the onSubmit method that you saw in our HTML. And quite simply, we're just doing a couple of kind of useless things here. On line 21, I'm just saying console.log, blah, blah, blah. And on line 22, I'm logging the form. And you could put anything you want on the onSubmit method. It's really not essential to this example, but since I already had it in my example for the HTML, I might as well put it in my component as well. Otherwise, it would be notably missing. So that's pretty much it. Let me cut away to PowerShell now and see if we could get a fresh compile out of this guy. So from the command line, I'm just going to put in ngserve open, and we're going to observe it compile, and hopefully it'll compile correctly. And when it does compile correctly, it'll open up in a web browser shown here, and we have our model-based form example. Now it doesn't do much, but it compiled and it ran. So that's probably what we wanted it to do initially anyway. So let me put some data in there, click on the submit button so we could just see that it works. It doesn't blow up. You can go to the command line and it will show you that there was no runtime errors. In this video, you learned how to use form control objects and bind them to a template view.